Namaskaram, JB Junction Lake Swagam. You talked about, say 15 youngsters being taken to the Central Committee. But I hope, Comrade Sida, after that, there was no recruitment like that to the party. Was it a failure on the party or rather,
no, there was...
you couldn't get the quality cadres like that?
No, there was, I won't say you couldn't get quality cadres. There was recruitment, but that was only incremental.
It trickled, yeah.
It was not such a big breakthrough. No, you see, of these 15, some may have worked, some may not have worked out. Okay, leave that aside.
Correct, yeah.
But then look at it. One was the Chief Minister of West Bengal, one was the State Secretary of West Bengal, one was the Chief Minister of Tripura, one was the General Secretary of the party. Now, I am one of the, I know, those. Yeah. So you had, after all, it is from this group.
A generation nest.
The generation next has come.
A generational change.
And they were very conscious. We must say hats off to that generation. I remember 1992, our 14th Congress, Soviet Union had collapsed. Complete confusion in the party. There was total lack of, inspiration, determination. He said, if Soviet Union collapsed, what are you doing in India? That was the general...
I know, I used to be a frequent visitor at that time. Yeah.
And at that time, we were finalized and the ideological resolution was prepared.
You prepared it, actually.
No, listen, at the PB meeting before the Congress, we were only invitees to the PB, not full members, but permanent invitees to the PB. The question came up, who would present what? So then EMS was the General Secretary. So the EMS said that I'll inaugurate, Surjit will, present the political resolution. And then it came up to ideological. They just looked at each other and then they said, who will present it? Then I said that MB, you should present it because as long as you're alive, you drafted the program, you led the discussion and concluded in the ideological plenum at Bardwan, 68. And ideological matters in the party, he was the undisputed leader, Basopanaya. So I said, what is this? As long as you're alive, you should be the one presenting. Then very sharply he retorted saying, Sitaram, I'm asking you to present it only because I'm alive.
Otherwise, how can I ask?
Otherwise, how can I? That's what I thought. He said, no, not only that reason. And that is obvious. If I'm not alive. He said, only when we are there, we'll sit next to you.
Correct.
You present it. If you make a mistake, we'll correct you. But only then the party will get a confidence.
Sending an ideological resolution.
Absolutely, completely.
That too, after the collapse of Soviet Union.
Absolutely, completely. And without any warning, this wasn't the warning of it, and the next day it had to be presented. And Prakash, SRP and I were staying in one room in the Chaul tree that was there where the Congress was being held. Then it was... I remember in the night I wouldn't allow them to sleep also because of that. But somehow that was...
Prakash was introduced in that organization.
Then 2 days later was the organization. Then came the decision who will introduce organization. Then they said, Prakash will do that.
I recollect that. I was there at that time.
Me, ideological, Prakash organizational was a very big departure, no? And all of them were alive.
Nobody expected basically because Sujit was there, EMS was there, MB was there. The senior veterans were there actually.
And Nipen Chakravarti, Jyoti Basu, L.B. Gangadhar Rao, Hanumanta Rao, all the stalwarts of the earlier period.
In effect, actually, there, I would say the showering affection groomed you to a different level.
Absolutely, very big way.
And you were part of the international department. I think at that time, I think when we used to come to 14 Ashoka, people used to say that, you visited, went to China. You had an opportunity to meet Deng also, I think, along with EMS. Then Fidel with Jyoti Babu. Yeah. Fidel. We used to discuss all those things actually. Because we had that lunch time.
Exactly. There was mess there.
With a little curd, which people used to steal.
So we did, it was a very wonderful experience with traveling with these big leaders. And Deng Xiaoping, it was not scheduled. Deng Xiaoping had stopped meeting international Communist Party leaders. It was announced. He had relinquished the leadership. The new leadership had taken over. But when they heard EMS, we actually went to Korea for Kim Il-sung's 70th or 75th birthday. Coming back on the way, the Chinese said, no, you stop over in Beijing. So 3 days EMS and I stayed. That Beijing was entirely different. 1987, I think. 87. So we stopped over there. My first visit to all these countries, etc. So then suddenly one day we were ushered out saying that it's a very important banquet meeting. I said, who?
What is importance?
They won't say, and then it turned out to be Deng. And Deng said, EMS and he, Deng was they were fond of each other, they knew each other. He said, no, if my friend is coming from India, how can I not?
Oh, he did say so. Okay.
And this was 87, at 83, I think, to 87 or 86. I don't know. 83, the delegation, Chinese Central Committee, the Central Committee passed a resolution self-criticizing their role in evaluating the Indian situation. And they sending us that resolution, they invited a delegation to come to meet. So EMS as the General Secretary, Surjit as the International Department, MB as the theoretical, the ideological thing. So this was the delegation that went in 83 and signed the protocol, restarting the relations between the Communist Party of China and the CPI. So since then, I mean, they've read more of each other, Deng Xiaoping and EMS. So he said, my good friend has come from India. So he told him, So he suddenly asked EMS, I still remember very clearly. He said, this young man is there with you, so he can keep me company. But you don't smoke, you don't drink. EMS, you say. EMS, you don't smoke, you don't drink. You will not live as long as I live. So it was like that, the conversation went on. And he would smoke more than I did those days. I used to smoke those unfiltered Charminar.
Even now you smoke Charminar only, no?
Charms.
Charms, okay.
Super unfiltered Charminar, but he smoked more than I did at that time.
But these things have not been recorded actually. I mean, people
How can you record all this?
Not even a single photograph is available.
No, Deng Xiaoping, me and EMS photograph is there.
That is there, okay.
Is there in your EMS academy?
Yeah, correct. That's and meeting Fiddle with Jyotiba.
So that is one thing.
That picture I have not seen actually.
We don't also preserve them. We don't have the...
What I'm trying to say is that you see the interface with international communist movement, interaction with legendary communist leaders, and you have traveled across the globe, participated in their conferences, sat through actually. But one sad aspect is that all these conventional political parties in Europe is faded into oblivion actually. This is something, I mean, which should be, disturbing us. Shouldn't we?
It is. That is what we discussed in 92. That's what we discussed again in Kozhikode in the last party congress. It is disturbing in a sense, but there's the essence of that, I think, is that we, for instance, have continuously maintained that concrete analysis of concrete conditions, like Lenin said, is the living essence of dialectics. When ruling parties rule for many years, when they stop concretely analyzing the concrete conditions, even when conditions change, when they don't keep abreast, then such atrophy, as you can call it, will happen. And that's what we discussed in the resolution, it's there. The GDR, for instance, EMS and I went there. That was the first exposure to a party congress there. And I remember EMS telling Sitaram, make a note of this, we have to learn from this. In the GDR, in all those party congresses, from a ruling Communist Party Congress, the first thing, when they have a congress, the first job that they do is that the credentials committee is present, report. We do it in the end. And for us, it's like a interesting thing, you know. Who is old, who's young, and how many, some statistical.
Human interest facts.
But there was a purpose for the credentials committee and report. The credentials committee would examine the credentials of every delegate who came for the congress. No imposter is coming, no further, whether the election there was correct or not. So all this would be
analyzed.
Would be examined by the credentials committee. And then they would present the report to the Congress. And only when they say that the credentials of all the delegates attending are intact and cleared, then the Congress proceeding starts. So this is a new thing for us, an entirely new thing.
But you have not changed.
So
You have it in that
I dutifully noted it down. Surely I was as long as the General Secretary. But there are many things like this we learn.
No, actually, I should also speak about Chris Sani. You had a very, warm friendship with the legendary communist leader who was assassinated. Chris Sani.
Chris Sani, yes, of course.
That also, I think, I heard about you when we were having lunch in those 14 Ashoka, that museum-like dining hall.
Dining hall, yeah. Chris was, of course, very dear, of course. He was the head of their Umkhonto Sizwe, which is their underground, armed wing.
Yes, coming to Latin America, actually, so much of things are happening in Latin America, leftist movement, not the conventional communist party which are there, actually the new left movement with a tinge of maybe theology, religious aspirations, all these converge into a political ideology. Is there something which we need to, integrate to our country there?
Of course we do. Because all this experience is meaningless if you're not going to learn from it and try and use the positive things in our country for the advance of our movement. Latin America, what is the most distinguishing feature, which unfortunately many of us also miss out? You see, whether it was the Chiapas struggle of the indigenous people in Mexico, whether it is the people in what is called the favelas, that is the Portuguese word for slums in Brazil, whether it is the various sections of the indigenous people and the various working people, plantation workers, etc., all their struggles grew not on one issue, all of them grew on their different issues.
Correct, yeah.
Now here, if you try to systematize the whole thing, saying so-and-so 1 week for price rise, 1 week for this thing, we'll have our movements, etc., you cannot advance, because what is the actual problem at the ground level? The communists should be seen as organizing the people to solve that problem, no? Somewhere it's water, somewhere it's a bridge, somewhere it's, how to reach the village, access to it. So the lesson we have to learn from South Africa is picking up the local issues, building the movements on that, which will become the building blocks of people's issues, and that will become the building blocks for a national resistance.
Here the main accusation against the left is that many of the struggles, or rather uprisings, happen outside the periphery of the conventional left. Maybe, led by NGOs, social formations, groups, splinter groups. So many of that, issues of land, rehabilitation, environment, there, people don't cite the left party as such. It's an issue, actually.
There are two reasons for it, according to me. One is what we were talking about. That is, if you don't pick up the actual real issues, the communists may be right, they may be morally very good, they may be excellent, but they are the ones not fighting for my water.
Correct.
Somebody else is fighting. They are the ones not fighting for my road here. Their theory is good, they are wonderful, we are not against them. But the real fighter on my issues here, someone else. That is one problem, one set of problems. So that is where we have to identify with all these sections, these subsections, etc., on their concrete issues and build the struggles from there. That's why I said these are building blocks.
You mean to say here is where left failed and a party like AAP gained? Can it be termed like that?
It cannot be mechanically counterposed, but in a sense, in a sense that...
If you stretch it, you can include that.
Yeah, you can stretch it, you can... And the other thing in Latin America, please understand, and there's a danger we also can have here. The other thing in Latin America is systematically the left and particularly the communist parties were decimated. Today, for instance, you take a concrete example. In Bengal, there is a section of people, though very small, middle class, though they have their own vested interest, who say what CPM's organization structure has been very weakened by Mamata Banerjee's Madras attacks. It is a politics of violence, and it is a politics of terror, and through this politics of violence, through politics of terror, they have killed nearly 500 of my comrades. They continue to go on doing. So the party network that earlier could offer protection to the common people against such politics of terror, that is today much diluted. That is not there. So a section of the people will see what? The BJP is in central government. They have the central forces. So maybe they can protect us. So those who want protection from the Trinamool Congress rule,
They will drift.
they will drift towards BJP. When they see that is not happening, which is what is happening now, then they will be a flood will go on and many would return to us. That's it. That's what is happening. That will happen also. But the point is, you also understand from the point of view of the people, and that is exactly what happened in Latin America. Your traditional communist parties were attacked with high degree of concentration. And particularly after Che Guevara, after the Cuban Revolution, after that entire period, the rest of the Latin America was frightened if the Cuban revolution, and the fact that Cuba is surviving, not only surviving, is thriving.
Yeah, it's thriving, yeah.
So that was a big danger. So communists, wherever you find, first of all, decimate them. So as a net result is that the communists had become so much weaker that certain other well-meaning, I mean, I'm not saying they were not well-meaning coalitions emerged on local issues.
But don't you think that you see certain experiences which happened in Latin America and can happen here also?
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
So
I mean, it's very
don't
clear.
You think you need to reinvent the movement actually?
A, reinvent the movement. B, be prepared to face the onslaught. You cannot be taken by surprise.
Interestingly,
enough
you were talking about Greece, whereby Syriza, came to power, whereas the conventional political party, the Communist Party is still opposing Syriza.
But the communists are also gaining in the seats in elections. That is also happening. So, you see, that is a totally different situation. Today in India, for instance, we are talking of the People's Democratic Revolution. We are saying we have to finish the task of the Democratic Revolution before you move to socialism. In Europe, they are talking of the Socialist Revolution. There are no stages, they think. But in countries like Portugal, next door, Portugal, Spain, everywhere else, who have experienced fascism in a very big way in their own countries. After all, the Spanish Civil War, the Salazar fascism in Portugal, I mean, all these were experiences. They come, for them, democracy and democratic rights are very important.
But comrades say that in India, the peculiar situation, you are at a crossroad actually. I'm also taken aback because basically the enthusiasm that comes up after the party congress is so huge that you see whether you can live up to the expectation. That's very important. And personally on your shoulder. Now the situation is that politically you have a setback, electorally you have a setback, on an ideological frame also you have a lot of problem actually. How are you going to cut across this? And second thing is that all those bastions where communist parties were strong, whenever there was a setback, except for Bengal in 70s, you couldn't regain the ground. That is something which would be staring at your face.
You see, there are two sets of problems. I won't say two problems, but there are many problems, but there are two sets of problems. One is that you have to go back to your concrete analysis of concrete conditions. Your technology has changed. It's multiplied exponentially. Today in India, unlike even when I was doing my PhD, today in India, you don't have to be educated to be aware of what's happening in the world. I don't have to be literate. I need not write my name or sign. But I can, by watching the television in my language, understand what's happening in the world. So the concept of giving lectures in a public meeting. I used to say as SFI president that no SFI leader would give a lecture of more than 45 minutes, which is the one period in school and college. Because the concentration won't be more than that.
Correct. Yeah.
Today I'm telling them, saying that how many generations am I above the SFI? Today I'm telling them not one period, but one serial, television serial.
One episode.
One episode. That is 22.5 minutes or whatever it is. And that also with commercial breaks.
Correct, yeah.
So you have to crack a joke in between,
Yeah,
you have to do something.
pin it with humor. Some instigation, provocation.
But you understand that situation, no? That's what people are attuned to. So, you see, these sort of changes in our style of work.
The body language matters.
In the issues we pick up.
It's not what you speak, how you speak.
Yeah. How you convey, finally.
Yeah.
What is the message you're conveying?
So what is that you intend actually? You need to, drastically retro the...
That is one set of problems. We have to. That is why the organization plenum will work. Again, I tell you, they cannot be anything mechanical. I mean, I can't decide in an all-India plenum and tell you in Kerala what you'll do in Wayanad with your tribals there or in Idiki will be on the basis of what I decide here. You will have to find your own way, no?
Correct, yeah.
And you will have to identify what are those problems. And you, on that basis, you will have to intervene.
Exactly, I wanted to ask you something. Basically, the party has grown unevenly and issues are, of course, diametrically opposite. The issue facing the party in Bihar may not be the same in Kerala. You have a different issue altogether. So having a common tactical line at a national level, maybe, I mean, finding it difficult to, I mean, get into the loop altogether.
No, the commonness would be in the direction to identify these issues, which are different from each other. This is one set of problems, what I was telling you. There's another set of problems, which is another area of problems which we have to tackle, which is your social realities. You see, we have always said, I have always said, and we have always maintained, and I've said it in this Congress as well, that class struggle in India stands on two legs: economic exploitation and social oppression. Remember, Swami Vivekananda called Kerala a madhouse of caste. No, how was that madhouse of caste the topmost state in India with the best human development indices compared with that of Europe?
Best.
How? No, the point is you have to be conscious, you have to that, but then you have to integrate. Like the communists in Kerala have succeeded very well compared to the other parts. You have to integrate the struggles against social oppression with the struggles against economic exploitation. After all, EMS, A.K. Gopalan were leaders of the temple entry movement. What is that? Struggle against social oppression?
I wanted to ask you something. Basically, there have been some debate in Kerala. Maybe, I mean, the party thinks that, you see, inverted comma, a believer cannot be, I mean, going up in the hierarchy of the party. I mean, do you think that such decisions may, I mean, take the party, I mean, away from the people? Because, I mean, I don't understand what
I don't know what is the issue.
In effect, I mean, there have been some issues like that, actually.
You see, the point is, the Marxism's approach to religion is very clear. You see, the whole, why I'm smiling is the whole debate and the evolution of Marxism is connected with this issue. Ludwig Feuerbach was the leader of a group of students in Germany those days, of which Marx was one of them, who used to debate on Hegelian philosophy. The Feuerbach gave the understanding. He was considered a great philosopher. He was, you know, like, he's the one who introduced, you know, Marx to much of these progressive ideas. They were friends, and he used to think that unless we liberate the human mind, you cannot have a revolution. You cannot liberate the human being from exploitation. And the human mind cannot be liberated unless you liberate it from religion. So fight against religion is the most important thing for a human being to liberate himself. Understand the logic?
Understood.
So Marx says there's something wrong here as a student. He says there's something wrong here. He says, then he comes to the seminal conclusion, which he writes, and criticizing Hegel's philosophy of law. He says the civil society, you say the civil society is not a term that's come out of your NGO movement today. Hegel talks of the civil society. That civil society that Hegel is talking about, society with order, no exploitation, no, I mean the utopian society that Hegel, right? He said the anatomy of the civil society must be found in its political economy. Then he comes to his famous conclusion that it is not the consciousness that determines our social conditions or social existence. It is our social existence that determines our consciousness. So even if Feuerbach was saying that we have to liberate human beings from consciousness, that consciousness also emanates from the material conditions. So unless you change the material conditions, you cannot change the consciousness and you cannot liberate the human being. So therefore he moves to study of political economy, etc., etc. He comes and writes Capital. I mean, all that is it. So why I was smiling was the whole evolution of Marxism is connected with this whole debate on religion. And then he says, and then Engels says subsequently, after they joined, because when he comes to Paris, that's where he meets Engels. and then the collaboration begins. Then Engels says to somebody who writes a letter to them, say, why are you not launching a crusade against religion? You eliminate religious hold from the people. So they write it back, her, that's the German word for Mr. He said, her so-and-so. I'm forgetting that. Her so-and-so is too impatient. Attacking religion will only make a martyr of religion. What we are seeking is to change this real world. Change the real world when people will no longer feel the necessity to embrace religion.
Correct.
As an answer. That is when his famous quotation comes. Religion, religious distress is a reflection of the real distress. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature. It is the heart of the heartless situation, the spirit of a spiritless world. Religion is the opium of the people. It's opium because it provides spirit in a spiritless world.
It's on that context.
It provides heart in a heartless situation. The point is that world of religion that provides you comfort, solace. But you have to change your real world, no?
In Kerala, there is a peculiar situation. I mean, CPM has an upper hand, but whereas the social formations, see the majority community, I mean, you have the major chunk of majority community with you, but whereas the minority community, it's not that much of, I would say, support from that community to CPM. So is there, on a social level, should there be any churning? On a political realignment, what should you do actually? Because Kerala is very important to you actually. And next year you're going to face election. Is there something which you must be contemplating in the framework of Kerala?
One thing important is there are also a tremendous number of problems before the people of Kerala. So the CPM and the LDF must be seen as a champion of that. Number two, the CPM and LDF would have to strengthen itself, which is something the CPM has been saying all along. So the issues that are there, unfortunate issues of dispute where partners of the LDF had left LDF and things like that, such efforts must be made to try and bring them back, see what is to be done. But basically, I think Kerala people, I always say hats off to them. Because they've kept the Kerala politics completely on its toes. They are the first people who perfected this practice of electing one formation once and one formation the other.
This is okay.
And so neither the UDF nor the LDF can relax in Kerala. They always have to be on their toes. It's very good because the net result is doing greater work for the people. But the other thing important is that Kerala has always been a place where there's a vision. It's not just social service. You're not only serving the society and solving the problems of the people. It's also where are you going to take it? You had a big debate when EMS was alive still on the Kerala path of development.
Kerala model.
The Kerala model. It was internationally written about. It is now today part of the national discourse, only unfortunately very limitedly. Now, what is that? Now, what is the progress trajectory for the people of Kerala? Things have changed dramatically. Even today, the people are talking about saying that the Gulf, the Kerala is working there,
yeah,
the money
foreign
that
remittance
is coming, the foreign remittances. And all this has completely changed the traditional economic structure in Kerala.
But don't you think actually, the casteist forces are also gaining their ground actually?
Number one. Number two, that is it. Vivekananda was not wrong. The casteist forces are there. But you subdued them how? You subdued them on the basis of a very, very powerful progressive movement. That progressive movement can only be unleashed how? Through a vision. Why did the people of Kerala actually elect the communists? In way back in 1957, first time in the whole world. Because here was a party that would fight for the temple entry on a caste social issue. Here was a party that will fight for better economic conditions of the people. Here is a party that is fighting for the better livelihood and for a better society.
Yeah, distribution.
Society. Yeah. Even your, not merely distribution, even production. What is your production trajectory? No, there was a big debate I know in Kerala some years ago whether the trajectory should be traditionally through industrialization, Now, industrialization in the traditional sense is very difficult in Kerala because the location of raw materials
Fragile.
and raw materials are very
materials,
far away. Then they hit upon a wonderful idea, and which everywhere in the world people are quite amazed that how did the LDF led by a communist party give the slogan of God's own country? After all, they gave the God's own country. So protection of environment, it's ecosystems, and therefore it's one of the 10 must-see places in the world today by anybody in the world who evaluates people who want to travel. So you found some methods. Now what is the future? Where are we standing today? There are some things which we also in the parliament, we also discussed. I was chairman of the parliamentary committee that dealt with waterways. The development of waterways, the ways of water transport in Kerala.
Inland waterways.
Inland waterways. Yeah. And you know how that tourism, culture, that's one aspect. Whether you can bypass the stage of industrialization and move towards a service society based on IT and all that.
BT and so on.
So these are the issues that we initiated the debate.
Coming to hard politics, I mean, you are talking about realignment of forces. You mean to say that you see those forces, which people must be wondering why I'm not asking such specifics actually. Am I permitted to, take it to an academic level? They may be, accusing me. Realignment of the, previous left forces, or rather you need to find new allies from the UDF. What is it actually you are thinking?
No, you see, first of all, you'd have to emerge the people who are not aligned with any party or force. I know that's a very narrow stream in Kerala. Kerala is a highly politicized society, so the stream of undecided and polarized and it's a very narrow stream. 1-2% shift from here to there, then the whole result will be different. Given that also, you got to appeal to the people of Kerala on a higher plane. Not merely this cut and paste of one ally from here, one ally from here. Number two, if allies from the UDF are not satisfied, they want to come and join us, then yes, that has to be evaluated in concrete terms. Number three, the people who left the LDF, they have gone. If they are willing to come back, and we hope they will come back, because we have appealed to them to rejoin the LDF since long. No, if that happens, that's a different basket that has to be properly analyzed.
You mean to say the traditional allies of UDF, that's the first group, if at all they come out and, if you see them appropriate to be included. Second thing, those allies who have left you and joined UDF, those are two sets of parties.
Two sets of parties.
Yeah.
But always remember one thing, and I always maintained, somebody wrote when EMS died, that whenever EMS opened his mouth or whenever EMS wrote something, he would ensure that Kerala is divided.
That's a discourse.
Yeah. No, and then the debate starts. There are those who support him, those who oppose him. What was it? That you were talking of a vision. You were talking of taking Kerala somewhere. And I cannot think of the people of Kerala or the Malayalis without actually being attracted to anything that doesn't offer them a vision. And that is what we have been doing, and we should.
That is more important actually.
And that is what we have been doing, and we should.
More on the number game, you mean to say, giving a vision.
Vision.
That is more important. Second thing, the intra-party things actually. I don't know how far we can go into it. There has been a lot of organizational problems, then a PB commission appointed. Now people want to know, will that PB commission which is there actually, after you, be elected General Secretary, will there be a change in that commission? Is there a deadline to that commission? Something like that. A lot of, debates going on.
You see, I've said it at the party congress, and it's all, as I told you earlier, that's what we always practice, we'll continue to practice. It has to be a collective decision.
Fine.
That PB that set up that commission is no longer there. That CC which elected that PB is also no longer there. So the new bodies have come. We are having a meeting. We'll probably be having a first meeting of the Politburo on 16th, 17th. Then the Central Committee. And then this process will be done, but it will have to be based on a collective decision.
You mean to say that PB commission which was appointed there, it no longer exists?
I would say that, you see, no longer exists in what sense? One of the members of the commission is no longer physically active.
Okay. There could be changes in the commission.
Changes that will come. The terms of reference would be more or less the same of why that commission was set up. There were some more things that came up, some more things that General Secretary had then assured that they'll be added to the PB Commission's investigation. That will also have to be considered. So, I mean, all this will...
In a nutshell, there could be a change in the membership of the PB Commission. Structural changes would be there. Second, the terms of reference also could be changed to a certain extent.
Only when, if necessary.
If necessary.
Both these
But in any case, I mean, the structure would be changed actually. Because
both. Structure in the sense of physical ability of people to be there. And both will be done only on the basis of a collective discussion and a decision.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, will there be a deadline for that actually? It has been...
That also again, the new PB will have to decide. My job is only to convene and then after
facilitate.
That, and after that, to implement what they decide.
Anyway, it's a very Herculean task to Comrade Sitaram, because a lot of people are looking up to you with high expectation.
I know.
This is a Herculean, humongous task which has been bestowed on you. I think you'll be having nightmares now.
Mercifully, not yet, but I'm sure I'll have. Because it is a tremendous expectation. I'm also surprised. We have to do something. But it has to be, as I said, collectively undertaken, collectively shared.
There are other issues like, because people in Kerala would like to know why the party has gone away from urban centers. You were so strong in Mumbai, Delhi, pockets of Chennai, but all these urban centers, I mean, you have just got evaporated. It's no longer there.
Why? One obvious reason is that the working class has gone away from the urban centers. Now, it has been...
That is where you wanted a red flag to be hoisted over a well in the rural belt?
I like the red flag to be hoisted over every factory gate. There has to be a red flag over every well in every village from where the Dalit is not allowed.
That is your new slogan actually?
That is the new slogan.
People are expecting new slogans from you vis-a-vis West Bengal politics. Actually, they think that you being the General Secretary, because there is a lack of, I would say, motivation or inspiration, you would lead from the front actually to rejuvenate the movement there, because they're all dispirited. I don't think with your...
it's a very tall order. All that I can say is I'll try. Again, as I tell you, Bengal and Kerala still stand out to be the leaders of Indian Renaissance. Cultural, philosophical, whatever you may look at. And Bengal was and still is. Now, if that Renaissance, that vision is not there in Bengal, their whole, the essence of their living, it suddenly, somewhat evaporates. Same thing in Kerala that I was talking about.
Your concentration would be on West Bengal now, actually?
West
the
Bengal
situation?
Because listen, it will be in West Bengal, like let's say, Bengal and Kerala are like two eyes. I will pay attention to the eye that is paining more, no? Natural. It's not that I'm neglecting the other eye. So, Bengal today is the center of the attack by my class enemy. You
had your self-care plenum in 78. I mean, spreading the organization to Hindi, but nothing happened actually. Again, you are going to have another plenum. Do you think that it will be just repetition of the self-care plenum or something?
I hope not. I hope not. And we will have to take up all these issues concretely, and that's what we'll try to do.
The dwindling membership in the mass organization, I mean, I would say the depleting charisma, I mean, people's, I would say the lack of romanticism attached to this youth movement, student movement.
Yeah, but those things we'll have to tackle on the basis of an...
So much of nostalgia you have when you talk about it as a fair days, but you don't have it now.
No, but why? That is what is concrete analysis of conditions. 70% of the best of your students today are going into private institutions. There's no students' union allowed, no students' politics allowed. What are you doing to your country and to the youngsters? The ruling classes may get what they want.
I understand, but comrades say that, I mean, post-liberalization, globalization, that generation, they have different aspirations altogether actually.
That is because they are not exposed to the reality, no? What is their aspiration? Correct, very good. I also feel proud when I go to Silicon Valley in the USA. The second language spoken there, that time was Telugu.
Correct, yeah.
So I'm also very proud when my mother tongue Telugu, Telugu second language spoken there. And they say Indians have taken over Silicon Valley, virtually. No, I'm very proud. My youth is doing all this. But the point is, Their world is that. And one global meltdown, one collapse of the Wall Street, and you see what happens.
But think about the cultural invasion that is happening under Narendra Modi. That is where I think the left parties need to be a little more cautious about it. The area of culture. See, you are talking about 69% of the people voting against BJP, but still, with that control of the government, the entire socio-cultural field is being, I would say, Hinduized.
Of course, it's a very big challenge. And that is why you have to also from the same, genesis, show, demonstrate, and which is what we do. That's why they don't like what I say most of the time in the parliament. Then I keep jokingly telling him, even if you give me abuses, calling with my name, calling me Sitaram, you will still get the punya. Because you use the name Sitaram.
Sitaram, both are there.
But the point is, yes, in that idiom, what the people would understand, we'll have to take a point.
Correct, yeah.
And you're right, absolutely. They control the state apparatus, so the education, culture, all that is in scientific administration. You saw what happened in the Science Congress.
Correct.
And you saw this entire revamping of the educational system and the syllabus. I mean, you know, all this will be attempted. And you see the aggressiveness of that Shiv Sena editorial, disenfranchising the Muslims. So all this will be escalated. Because what are they doing? Worst vote bank politics. They are trying to consolidate the Hindu communal vote bank for their electoral and political advance. Now that is the biggest danger. They'll divide the country, disturb our social unity. And that is something India itself cannot survive.
On the tactical questions, actually, there have been a lot of debates happening in Kerala and mainstream press also. Vis-a-vis the Congress party, actually, they are not the old Congress, in inverted comma. They are no longer in the government. And in West Bengal especially, Congress, like CPM, is fighting Trinamool and BJP. Could there be chances of having some sort of a tacit understanding with Congress in West Bengal? What could be the extent of certain, arrangements?
No, as far as electoral alliances or understandings or front with the Congress, it's out of the question. Because why? Because it was the Congress and its policies which are responsible for creating the situation where the communal forces have come. The degree of anger of the people against the way the Congress ruled the country, particularly in the last few years of the UPA 2 rule, that is the reason why BJP is where it is today. Number two, the Congress has not gone back on any of the policies that was committed. So we lose our credibility going by the Congress.
That's where I want to ask you another question. Basically, there has been a dent in the credibility of left. When you hobnobbed with people like Mayawati, Jayalalitha, that is the, general accusation against left.
So that's why we come to the conclusion, correct. We come to the conclusion and decision that the left's growth can only be on the basis of the independent strength of the party, on whose basis we can strengthen the left unity, on whose basis we can move towards the left and democratic front.
But when it comes to electoral politics, hypothetically the Bihar politics, will there be a need to have some sort of arrangement with Nitish Kumar, Jandadal, Lalu? Will not be there.
You see, there could be electoral adjustments in some states. But no way can that extend towards forming any national alternate.
Yeah.
In 2006, not 2009, in the 2009 election, we gave the call for an alternative secular government. Only stopping short of saying that CPM will lead that government. And with whom? With all these regional forces that you were mentioning. What was the credibility of that? So, learning from all that experience, what are we saying? Electoral adjustments can happen in some states, etc., depending on the immediate
You will be
situation.
very careful about your credibility.
But nothing of that can lead to any sort of a projection of a front at the national level. That is just not feasible.
On the tactical positions, the party congress debated, 2 days on the political tactical line. But you never thought it imperative to, have a relook at the decision of the party not to participate, not to make Jyoti Basu the Prime Minister.
But we have a whole party.
I know you will say Calcutta Party Congress ratified it, but I mean, all other tactical positions were ratified by the party congresses.
They did.
So what was that speciality with regard to that?
But then
actually?
there in Calcutta Party Congress, we took a decision for the future, which is also valid even now. That if at all such a circumstance arises in the future, then depending on the concrete situation at that time, the Central Committee of the day will take a decision.
It was open-ended.
Open. So now, if at all something like that happens, that the Central Committee, the new Central Committee will see. But right now the question is to bring the party back into the center of India's agenda.
So, Comrade Sitaram, thank you very much for sparing this much of time. Actually, it has been enlightening, and I think our viewers would be,
I know it's too long an interview for you to show on the television.
No, we will have a 2 1-hour episodes. And wish you all the best. I know, you would have a lot of nightmares now, but still, with the wishes of people.
I'll require the best of all the people, whoever it is, because it is a very difficult, challenging situation. But I am somehow confident we'll be able to overcome that and advance.
Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.